My beloved brothers and sisters, so often our hearts become restless after making dua. We ask ourselves, when will my prayer be answered? Why is it taking so long? But remember, when you call upon Allah, He hears you instantly. Your dua travels faster than anything in this world, and it is already registered with the Lord of the worlds. The delay is never a denial. Allah knows the exact moment when granting your request will be best for you. If He gives it too early, you may not be ready. If He withholds it, He is preparing something even better. So learn to relax into the feeling of trust because Allah has already planned your gift. Patience is not just waiting, patience is being content while waiting. Smile during the delay, thank Allah while your hands are still empty, because soon they will be full in ways you never imagined. And do not forget every dua is answered. Sometimes it comes exactly as you asked, sometimes it's delayed to protect you, and sometimes it returns in the form of something greater in your life or even as ease on the day of judgment. So not a single word you utter before Allah goes unnoticed. When your heart feels heavy, remind yourself, the night is darkest before the dawn. Relief is often closest when things feel the hardest. That is Allah's way of showing you that He is in control. So relax. Place your trust fully in your Rabb. Tell yourself, what I prayed for is already written for me, and it will arrive exactly when Allah knows I am ready. May Allah make us from those who pray with certainty, wait with patience, and receive with gratitude. Ameen. Trust in Allah's timing is one of the most important lessons a believer can hold on to, and it brings immense peace to the heart. When we think about the things we pray for, the hopes we carry, and the dreams we place before Allah, our natural human side wants those prayers answered immediately. We live in a world where everything is fast, messages sent in seconds, information is found in moments, and people expect results without delay. But Allah, the creator of time itself, is not bound by our rush. His wisdom goes far beyond what we can see, and when He chooses the moment to give us something, that moment is always the best. The delay in our eyes is actually the perfection of His plan. Think about the many times in your own life when something you wanted so badly didn't come right away. Maybe it was something as small as wanting to succeed in a school exam or something bigger, like hoping for a particular opportunity. At first, it might have felt like your prayers weren't heard, but later on, when the right moment came, you could see clearly why the wait was worth it. That's because Allah knows what you don't know. He sees the entire picture, your past, your present, and your future. He knows what situation will be safest for your heart, what time will strengthen your faith, and which blessing will bring you closer to Him rather than take you away. Trusting in Allah's timing is an act of faith. It means you believe that when something hasn't arrived yet, it's not because it's forgotten, but because it's being perfected. It means realizing that what feels like a delay is actually preparation. Allah might be preparing your heart, shaping your character, or creating circumstances around you so that when your prayer is answered, you can handle the blessing in the best way possible. Many times people receive things before they are ready, and instead of it being a blessing, it becomes a test they cannot manage. That's why Allah withholds at times not to punish, but to protect. Imagine someone planting a seed. They water it, nurture it, and wait. No matter how much they want the fruit to appear the next day, it simply won't. The seed must go through a process underground, hidden from the eye, before it breaks through the soil. And if the gardener loses patience and digs it up to see progress, they may ruin the growth completely. But if they trust the process, they will eventually see a plant strong and ready to give fruit. In the same way, your dua is like that seed. Once planted in the soil of sincerity, it's already alive. It is growing in ways you can see, and Allah is taking care of it. To you, it may look like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, the roots are spreading, the soil is being nourished, and the outcome is getting closer each day. The most beautiful part of trusting Allah's timing is the peace it brings. When you hand over your affairs to Him, you let go of the constant worry of when and how things will happen. Your heart begins to rest in the knowledge that Allah never delays without wisdom. Every moment of waiting is a moment of growth for you. Instead of feeling restless, you learn to fill the waiting with worship, gratitude, and patience. This way, by the time the blessing arrives, not only do you receive what you asked for, but you also receive the gift of a stronger heart and deeper faith. It's also important to remember that Allah answers in different ways. Sometimes He gives you exactly what you asked for. Other times, He gives you something different but better for your future. And sometimes, He saves the reward of your dua for the hereafter, where the value of that answered prayer is far greater than anything in this world. So if you trust His timing, you will never feel like your prayers are wasted. You will know they are simply stored in a way that benefits you most, whether in this life or the next. When you feel impatient, remind yourself that Allah is never late. He is never early. He is always on time. There are people who once cried for things that seemed delayed, but later they looked back and said, "If I had received it earlier, it wouldn't have worked out." You too will have moments like that in your life. One day, you will thank Allah for the very delays that once frustrated you, because they protected you from harm or gave you something far more beautiful. Trusting Allah's timing is not easy in moments of longing, but it is the pathway to peace. It teaches you that your worth is not measured by how quickly your prayers are answered, but by how strongly you hold on to Allah during the wait. Each second of patience is counted as reward, each breath of trust is a sign of faith, and each day of reliance brings you closer to your Lord. The true believer doesn't just wait for the blessing, but grows during the waiting. And when the moment finally comes, and it always does, the joy is multiplied, because it arrives wrapped in both the gift itself and the strength you developed along the way. So keep reminding your heart, what I asked for has not been ignored, it has been scheduled. It will arrive at the moment Allah knows is perfect for me. Until then, I will live in peace, knowing that His plan is always better than mine, and His timing never fails. That trust is what turns waiting into worship and patience into a source of calm. When you surrender to Allah's timing, you truly relax into the feeling that what is written for you will never miss you, and what misses you is never meant for you. And in that realization, your heart finds rest. Patience is one of the most powerful qualities a believer can carry in their heart, and in Islam it is more than just waiting. It is considered an act of worship, an expression of faith, and a sign of trust in Allah. Many people think patience simply means sitting quietly until something happens, but in reality, patience is about how you behave, how you think, and how you feel while you wait. It is the strength that helps you stay calm when things don't move as fast as you want them to, and it is the light that keeps you hopeful when challenges feel heavy. Allah praises those who are patient, promising them reward beyond measure. That is because patience connects you directly to Him, reminding you that He is in control and that His plan always works out in the best way. When a person asks Allah for something, the time between the dua and its acceptance is a test of patience. In that waiting period, the believer has a choice to become restless, doubtful, or frustrated, or to use that time to strengthen their relationship with Allah through worship and trust. Real patience means choosing the second path. It is not passive, it is active. You continue to pray, you continue to work hard, you continue to show gratitude, and at the same time you avoid complaining excessively or losing hope. This patience is not weakness, it is inner strength. It is knowing that Allah hears every prayer and that no effort is wasted. There are different forms of patience in life. Sometimes you must be patient with difficulties like illness, loss, or disappointment. Sometimes you must be patient with people, such as family, friends, or strangers who test your character. And often, you must be patient with yourself, your own mistakes, your growth, your struggles. Each of these moments of patience is counted as worship when you do it sincerely for Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that patience is light, and this light guides you through the darkest days. It keeps you steady when everything around you feels uncertain. Think about the stories of the prophets. Each one was an example of patience. Prophet Ayub endured years of hardship and illness, yet his faith never wavered. Prophet Yaqub cried for his son Yusuf for many years, yet he always said he had beautiful patience. Prophet Musa faced rejection and difficulty from his people but continued his mission with strength. The Prophet Muhammad himself was harmed, mocked, and tested, but he never abandoned his patience and reliance on Allah. Their examples show us that patience is not about doing nothing, it is about keeping faith alive in your heart while moving forward with dignity. Patience also brings hidden benefits. When you practice it, you protect your heart from bitterness and anger. Without patience, frustration can lead to rash decisions and regrets. But with patience, you slow down, reflect, and choose wisely. Patience builds resilience, which means the ability to handle difficulties without falling apart. Every time you show patience, you are training your soul to be stronger and closer to Allah. It is like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And with patience comes clarity, because when your mind is calm, you can see things more clearly. Another important part of patience is gratitude. It may sound unusual, but patience is deeply connected to thankfulness. When you are patient, you are silently expressing gratitude by saying, "Ya Allah, I trust you, and I am content with what you have chosen for me at this moment." Even if things are not perfect, you recognize that Allah has given you blessings in other areas of your life, and you remain thankful. This combination of patience and gratitude makes you a stronger believer and helps you find peace in any situation. It's important to remember that patience is rewarded in unique ways. Allah tells us that those who are patient will be rewarded without measure. This means that the value of patience is so great it cannot be counted or limited. Think about that. Every moment you choose patience is like placing a treasure in your eternal account, one that you will see on the day of judgment in a form far greater than anything you sacrificed. So when you remind yourself to stay calm, to keep trusting, and to avoid losing hope, you are actually building a massive reward that will last forever. As human beings, we are not perfect, and there will be moments when patience feels difficult. Sometimes you may feel like crying or feel upset that things are not moving the way you expected. That's normal. Allah does not tell you to deny your feelings, it teaches you to channel them. Crying, praying, and expressing your struggles to Allah is not impatience, it is actually a form of worship. What matters is that you do not give up or turn away from Allah. Instead, you use that moment of hardship to get closer to Him, asking for His help and trusting His wisdom. In daily life, patience shows up in small things too. For example, waiting for exam results, dealing with misunderstandings among friends, or working toward a personal goal. These may seem like ordinary situations, but they are opportunities to practice patience. Each time you stay calm, avoid rushing into negativity, and remind yourself of Allah's plan, you are worshipping Him in a very real way. Over time, you will notice that patience brings more peace to your mind and more strength to your heart. So whenever you feel restless waiting for something you prayed for, remind yourself that this period of waiting is not wasted time, it is an opportunity to worship through patience. Remind yourself that Allah knows when the right time will be, and your role is to keep holding on to hope. Each moment of patience is an act of love toward your Creator, a declaration of faith, and a step toward eternal reward. That is why patience is not just a skill, it is worship. And those who master it are the ones who walk through life with true peace, knowing that everything unfolds at the perfect time Allah has written. Every sincere prayer you make is never wasted, and that is one of the most comforting truths a believer can hold on to. When a person raises their hands, lowers their head, or even silently whispers from their heart, Allah hears them instantly. Nothing you ask goes unnoticed, and nothing you say disappears into the air. In fact, every dua you make is recorded, cherished, and responded to in the way that is best for you. The human mind often thinks in straight lines. I ask, and I should receive exactly what I requested right away. But Allah's mercy and wisdom are far greater than our limited vision. Sometimes the answer to your dua comes quickly and clearly. Other times it comes later at the perfect moment when you are more prepared to appreciate it. And sometimes it doesn't come in the way you expected at all, but it arrives in a form that you will one day realize was better than what you asked for. This is why believers are encouraged never to lose hope in prayer. Dua is not like a message you send that could be ignored or deleted. Allah guarantees that your call is answered, but the form of the response is determined by His wisdom. For example, when you pray for success in a specific exam or opportunity, Allah may grant it directly. But if He knows that success in that particular path may harm you in the long run, He might redirect you to something else that will protect your faith, your happiness, and your future. At first, it may feel like your prayer was not accepted, but with time, you often see the hidden wisdom. What looked like a closed door was actually the doorway to something better. There is also the blessing of delayed answers. Sometimes Allah doesn't say no, but instead says not yet. In those moments, the delay becomes a time of growth. You might use that waiting period to become more disciplined, more grateful, or more connected to Allah. When the dua is finally answered, you are a different person, stronger, wiser, and ready to handle the blessing. If it had come earlier, perhaps you would not have appreciated it or even misused it. Think of it like a teacher who waits until the right time to hand out a lesson or gift. The timing is part of the wisdom, and once the answer comes, you see why the delay was important. Another beautiful aspect of dua is that sometimes it is answered in the form of protection. You might ask Allah for wealth, but instead He keeps you safe from an illness that money could not have cured. You may ask for a specific friendship or relationship, but He protects you from heartbreak by keeping it away. These are answers to your dua, even if they don't match the shape of your request. The believer who trusts Allah understands that not receiving what they asked for does not mean rejection, it often means redirection. Allah's mercy is too vast to leave your prayer unanswered. It simply finds expression in ways that you might only understand later. And then there is the most powerful form of answered prayer, the reward saved for the hereafter. Sometimes, Allah saves the response to your dua for a time when you will need it most in the day of judgment. Imagine standing there in need of every good deed, every ounce of mercy, and then being given mountains of reward because of all the duas you thought were unanswered in this world. On that day, you will be so grateful that those prayers were stored up for you, because the value of reward in the next life is far beyond anything of this temporary world. What may have felt like silence in this world will turn out to be the greatest blessing when it matters most. This is why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that dua is never wasted. It either brings you what you asked for, it averts harm that was coming your way, or it is stored for you in the hereafter. In every scenario, you win. For the believer, dua is never lost effort. Every word you speak to Allah, every tear you shed, every moment you spend in sincere prayer is accounted for and rewarded. This should fill your heart with motivation to keep praying, even when you don't see immediate results. The unseen world is active in ways you cannot imagine. It's also important to realize that making dua is itself an act of worship. Even before the response arrives, you are already earning reward simply by turning to Allah. By calling on Him, you are showing humility, faith, and love for your Creator. You are acknowledging that only He has the power to give and withhold. That alone is precious. Sometimes Allah prolongs the time before the answer because He loves to hear your voice calling upon Him. Your dua is not just about the result, it's also about building a connection with the one who knows you better than anyone else. So the next time you feel as though your prayers are not being answered, remind yourself of this truth: every dua is working in your favor. Either it is being answered directly, it is being delayed until the perfect time, it is redirecting you towards something better, or it is being saved for the day you need it most. No prayer is wasted, and no effort is ignored. Instead of feeling discouraged, let this knowledge fill you with peace. Keep praying, keep asking, and keep trusting. Allah never forgets, and He never leaves a sincere heart unanswered. In the end, dua is not just about receiving, it is about believing. It is about trusting that your words are heard, that your hopes are known, and that your Creator cares about every detail of your life. This belief gives you strength to keep going, even in uncertainty. It gives you comfort when you feel alone, because you know that every prayer is a direct line to the most merciful. And it gives you patience, because you realize that your dua is never wasted, it is always working, always being written, always being answered in the way that is best. That is the beauty of dua, it is the most powerful tool of the believer, and it always brings benefit in this world and the next. Gratitude while waiting is one of the most beautiful ways to strengthen your relationship with Allah and to find peace in your heart. When you make dua, you are placing your hopes and needs in front of the one who controls everything. Naturally, you may feel anxious to see results. But the special quality of a believer is the ability to be thankful even before the dua is answered. Gratitude during the waiting period shows that you are not only asking Allah for what you want, but you are also recognizing what He has already given you. It means you are not focused only on what is missing, but you are appreciating the countless blessings that are already present in your life. This attitude transforms the waiting period from a stressful time into a period of worship and growth. Many times, people forget to notice how much they already have while waiting for something new. They become so focused on the unanswered prayer that they overlook the fact that they are still alive, still breathing, still surrounded by blessings that others may wish for. Gratitude reminds you to pause and see that even in the waiting, Allah is taking care of you. You still have food to eat, people who care for you, knowledge to learn, or talents to use. By thanking Allah for these things, you are telling Him, Ya Allah, I appreciate what you have already placed in my life, and I trust that you will add more when the time is right. There is also a powerful promise in the Quran: when you are grateful, Allah increases you. Gratitude becomes a magnet for more blessings. That means if you can show appreciation while waiting before the prayer is answered, you are actually paving the way for even greater gifts to come. Instead of complaining about what is missing, you train your heart to focus on abundance. This change in perspective brings calmness. You stop feeling like your life is empty without the thing you are praying for, and you start realizing that your life is already full of mercy and goodness. When the blessing you are waiting for finally arrives, it will feel like an addition to an already rich life, rather than the only thing that can make you happy. Practicing gratitude during waiting also helps prevent impatience and negativity. When you are not thankful, the waiting can feel unbearable. Every day feels long, and your heart becomes restless. But when you fill those days with thankfulness, the waiting becomes lighter. You no longer count the days in frustration, instead, you fill the days with positivity and remembrance of Allah. For example, imagine you are praying for success in an exam. While you wait for the results, instead of stressing constantly, you can thank Allah for the chance to learn, the teachers who guided you, and the effort you were able to put in. By doing this, your heart remains calm and hopeful no matter the outcome. Another benefit of gratitude is that it makes your worship sincere. Sometimes people only turn to Allah when they want something, and once they get it, they forget Him. Gratitude protects you from this habit. By practicing thankfulness while waiting, you develop the habit of remembering Allah at all times, not just when you need something. This sincerity is what makes your relationship with Allah deeper and more consistent. It shows that your worship is not just about getting what you want, but about appreciating who Allah is, the most merciful, the most generous, and the most loving. Gratitude in waiting can also be shown in small, daily actions. It is not only about saying Alhamdulillah with your tongue, but also about living in a way that reflects thankfulness. Helping others, sharing kindness, and using your abilities for good are all forms of gratitude. When you show thankfulness through action, you are proving that you value what Allah has given you, even before He gives you more. This practical gratitude brings joy not just to you but to the people around you, and it keeps you connected to Allah during the waiting period. The waiting time can also test your patience, and gratitude is the tool that makes patience easier. Instead of feeling like your patience is empty endurance, gratitude fills it with meaning. Each day of waiting becomes an opportunity to say, I am still grateful, even though my hands are not yet holding what I asked for. This strengthens your trust in Allah's wisdom. You realize that even if the blessing is delayed, you are not left without goodness. You are being taught to notice the everyday mercies that are often taken for granted. Gratitude also shifts the focus from outcome to journey. When you are thankful along the way, you begin to enjoy the process rather than only thinking about the result. For example, if you are praying for a certain opportunity, you might find joy in the skills you develop, the people you meet, and the lessons you learn while waiting. All of these are blessings in themselves. By focusing on them, you avoid disappointment if things don't turn out exactly as you imagined, because you have already gained so much during the journey. It is also worth remembering that sometimes, what you are waiting for may not come in the way you expect. Gratitude prepares your heart to accept Allah's decision with peace. If your dua is answered differently than you hoped, gratitude helps you say, Alhamdulillah, Allah knows best, and He has given me something better. Without gratitude, you may feel disappointed or even resentful. But with gratitude, you can find contentment in whatever outcome Allah chooses for you. In the end, gratitude while waiting is a reflection of trust. It is saying, I know Allah's plan is perfect, and while I wait for what I prayed for, I will celebrate the blessings I already have. This attitude not only brings peace to your heart, but also increases your closeness to Allah. By being thankful before the prayer is answered, you prove your faith, your patience, and your humility. And when the answer finally comes, whether in the way you imagined, in a better form, or in the hereafter, you will be among those who receive it with a heart already full of joy and contentment. Gratitude turns waiting from a test into a gift, from a challenge into an opportunity, and from a burden into a blessing. That is why it is such an important key in the life of every believer. Peace and tawakkul, or reliance on Allah, is one of the greatest sources of inner calm that a believer can experience. When life feels uncertain, when the outcomes of your efforts are unknown, or when your prayers seem to be taking time to be answered, tawakkul is what allows your heart to rest. It is the state of handing over your worries and your burdens to Allah while still putting in your best effort. Tawakkul does not mean giving up or sitting back passively. It means doing your part with sincerity, and then trusting Allah to take care of the results. This balance between action and trust is what gives a believer peace, because you no longer feel that the entire weight of the world is on your shoulders. You know that your Creator, who is all-powerful and all-wise, is guiding what happens next. When people rely only on themselves, they often become anxious. They worry about whether they have done enough, whether things will go their way, and whether they can control the outcome. But the truth is, no matter how much effort a person makes, there are always parts of life that are beyond human control. You can study hard, but you cannot control exactly how the exam questions will appear. You can work on building a friendship, but you cannot control someone else's heart. You can plan a path for your future, but unexpected events can change things in an instant. When you forget that Allah is in charge, those uncertainties can feel overwhelming. Tawakkul reminds you that while you are responsible for your effort, the results are in the hands of the one who knows everything and who cares for you more than you care for yourself. This understanding brings freedom from constant stress. Once you have done your part, you can breathe and let go of the need to overthink. It is like planting a seed. You water it, give it sunlight, and care for it, but you cannot force it to grow faster or guarantee how many fruits it will produce. At a certain point, you step back and let nature take its course. With tawakkul, it is the same. You put in your effort, and then you leave the unseen to Allah. This surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to admit that some things are beyond your control and to trust them in the care of your Creator. Another way tawakkul brings peace is by helping you accept outcomes that are different from what you expected. Sometimes you may pray for something and work hard toward it, but it still does not happen the way you hoped. Without tawakkul, this can feel devastating, and you might think that your efforts were wasted. But when you rely on Allah, you know that if something did not happen, it was not meant for you, and Allah is preparing something else that is better. This belief allows you to accept disappointments with calmness rather than despair. It shifts your focus from why didn't I get what I wanted, to what wisdom might Allah be showing me through this. That change of perspective is what turns difficulties into opportunities for growth. Tawakkul also keeps you from comparing yourself to others. Many times people feel restless because they see others succeeding faster, achieving more, or receiving blessings they want. This can make a person feel left behind or forgotten. But reliance on Allah teaches you that your path is unique, and your timeline is designed perfectly for you. You do not need to compare yourself with others because you know your blessings will come at the time Allah has written for you. This mindset allows you to feel peace with your own journey, instead of wasting energy worrying about what others are experiencing. It is also important to remember that tawakkul strengthens your relationship with Allah. When you rely on Him, you are showing that you believe in His wisdom and mercy. This reliance deepens your faith because you experience firsthand how Allah takes care of you. Many people can recall times when they thought things were going wrong, but later realized that those moments led to something better. These experiences teach you that reliance on Allah is not just an idea, it is a reality. The more you practice it, the more you see His help in your life, and the more peaceful your heart becomes. Tawakkul also protects you from fear about the future. The future can feel frightening because it is unknown, but when you rely on Allah, you remind yourself that even though you do not know what tomorrow holds, you know who holds tomorrow. That belief allows you to look ahead with hope instead of fear. You begin to say to yourself, whatever comes, Allah will give me the strength to handle it. This gives you the courage to keep moving forward even when you are unsure of what lies ahead. In everyday life, tawakkul can be practiced in simple ways. If you are nervous about a test, study as much as you can and then place your trust in Allah for the result. If you are worried about a friendship, do your part to be kind and sincere, and then trust Allah with the outcome. If you are thinking about your future, make plans, but remember that Allah may open or close doors according to what is best for you. Each time you remind yourself to trust Him, you feel lighter because you are no longer carrying the burden alone. Ultimately, tawakkul is what allows your heart to rest. It does not remove challenges from life, but it changes the way you experience them. Instead of being crushed by uncertainty, you are uplifted by faith. Instead of being trapped by worry, you are freed by trust. And instead of fearing what you cannot control, you find peace in the knowledge that Allah is guiding your life with wisdom and mercy. Reliance on Allah is a gift that turns worry into calm, weakness into strength, and uncertainty into hope. When you truly live with tawakkul, you learn that peace is not found in controlling every outcome, but in trusting the one who controls it all. When life feels overwhelming and your heart feels squeezed by difficulties, it often means that relief is closer than you think. One of the remarkable truths about the way Allah works is that He brings ease right after hardship. Sometimes the darkest, tightest, most difficult moments are signs that the breakthrough is near. Just as night feels coldest and darkest right before the sunrise, your struggles often feel hardest right before Allah opens the door you have been praying for. Recognizing this truth gives you hope and strengthens your patience, because you realize that pressure is often a sign that something new and better is on the horizon. When you are waiting for a prayer to be answered, it is natural to feel moments of doubt or heaviness. You may ask yourself, why does it feel so hard now? Why am I going through so many tests? The answer is that these moments are not signs of abandonment, but signs of preparation. Allah never burdens a soul more than it can handle, and He never allows a difficulty to continue unless it is shaping you in some way. The tighter the test feels, the closer you may be to receiving the relief that Allah has written for you. These intense periods teach you resilience, increase your reliance on Allah, and polish your heart so that you are ready to appreciate the blessing when it arrives. This pattern is visible in many stories of the prophets. Prophet Musa, for example, faced a moment when the sea was in front of him and an army was behind him. It seemed impossible, the tightest of situations, and his people thought they were trapped. But it was exactly then that Allah parted the sea and granted them a path to safety. Prophet Yunus was in the darkness of the belly of a whale, feeling no way out, when he turned to Allah with sincere prayer, and that was when relief was given to him. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers faced years of difficulty and persecution in Mecca, yet after the hardship came the opening of Medina and the spread of Islam. These stories are reminders that the hardest moments often sit right next to the greatest victories. In your own life, you can see the same pattern in smaller ways. Think about times when you studied hardest for an exam, and right before the test you felt nervous, pressured, and unsure. Then, once the exam began, everything you had prepared came to your aid, and you succeeded. Or consider times when you were struggling with friendships, family challenges, or personal goals. The pressure may have built up to a point where you thought you couldn't handle it, but suddenly things began to shift and ease came. That shift is often Allah's way of showing you that He was always there guiding you, and that the tightness was only temporary. The key to surviving these heavy moments is to stay connected to Allah and to remember that every hardship is paired with relief. This is not just a hopeful saying, it is a promise from Allah in the Quran. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Notice how the verse says with hardship, not after hardship. That means ease is already attached to the difficulty, even if you cannot see it yet. Just like a seed buried in the soil looks like darkness and pressure, but it is exactly that pressure that allows it to sprout and break into the light. Your hardships are preparing the ground for new beginnings. Signs of near relief can also appear in subtle ways. Sometimes it is the shift in your own heart, when you suddenly find more patience or calm than before. Sometimes it is the appearance of small opportunities or unexpected help, like someone reaching out at just the right time, or a door opening in a way you had considered. These small signs are reminders that Allah is moving things for you behind the scenes. You may not see the full picture yet, but those glimpses show you that relief is on its way. Another important aspect is that Allah often gives the biggest rewards after the biggest struggles. The sweetness of relief feels stronger when it comes after real effort. If blessings were always given without struggle, we might not value them. But when you go through difficulty and then receive ease, your heart appreciates it more deeply, and you become more grateful. Gratitude itself is a form of relief, because it fills your heart with light and removes bitterness. So the heaviness you feel now is often the preparation for a joy that will be greater than if you had never experienced struggle at all. It's also important to understand that feeling low or pressure doesn't mean your faith is weak. It means you are human. Even the prophets felt moments of deep challenge and cried out to Allah in their pain. What matters is that you don't give up hope, and you keep turning to Allah with sincerity. Each prayer, each tear, each moment of patience is counted and valued by Him. And when the relief comes, you will see that none of it was wasted. Every moment of struggle was part of the story leading you to what you had asked for. So when life feels tight, remind yourself that this is a sign of near relief. Allah is closest to you in your difficulties, and He is shaping the way for your breakthrough. Hold on to patience, keep being grateful, and keep praying with certainty. Remind yourself that your story is not stuck in hardship. Hardship is only a chapter, and ease is already written into the next. The pressure you feel now is the sign that the door of relief is just about to open. Trust Allah's timing, and take comfort in knowing that every tightness is followed by expansion, every night by dawn, and every prayer by an answer in the form that is best for you. My beloved brothers and sisters, as we reflect on the journey of prayer, patience, trust, gratitude, resilience, and the nearness of relief, we realize that our hearts are never left unattended by Allah. Every dua is heard, every tear is seen, and every hope is preserved. The waiting is not wasted, it is filled with opportunities to grow closer to Him. The delays are not rejections, they are protections. And the hardships are not punishments, they are pathways to greater ease and reward. So let us relax into the feeling, knowing with certainty that the one we have prayed to is the most kind, the most generous, and the most wise. What you asked for will come in the way and at the time that is best for you. Until then, live with Sabr, fill your days with gratitude, and keep your heart anchored in Tawakkul. And when the door finally opens, accept the blessing with humility, remembering that it came from Allah alone. May we be among those who call upon Allah with sincerity, who wait with patience, and who receive with thankfulness. And may our prayers always bring us closer to our Creator. Ameen.